I am coming to you live from my yard today, and part of this is a desire I guess maybe I'm trying to apologize, but I really want to. It's not really an apology I want to do, but I've had a live stream scheduled for weeks now, and regards the Cass County Sheriff's Office. But we'll get to that in a minute. First, I want to give a big shout out to my permanent uh, show producer, Ryan, in memoriam show producer. His generosity to his friends and family over the years have um, been a great blessing to my my platforms and my media, and so Ryan is forever going to have that show producer credit here in the realm of MBRR media. And for everybody else who's been channel members, thank you. Everything you do helps. Everything you do helps. Um, can't thank you guys enough for all of that. And if you want to partner with me and you don't want to do channel memberships, you can head over to my Give, Send, Go. I'll have the link in the description here in just a little bit. But you can head over to the Give, Send, Go, and you can partner with me through there. Anybody who partners with me through Give, Send, Go, no matter what amount you get, will get at least a 1-week trial, if not longer, to my paywall, behind my paywall for Substack. So you can read the stuff that I do that goes behind the paywall. But anyway, hello, Jugs. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Um, so shocking developments have arisen. If you've been paying attention, I've been doing a lot of coverage on Adam Schwarzy, former Navy SEAL, disgraced Navy SEAL. The SEALs took his. Well, thanks for the gift. The Navy SEALs took Adam Schwarzy's trident away from him. He's never gotten it back. It doesn't look like he's ever going to get it back. And I've been covering his story. And last night he did get the nomination from the Republican, or the endorsement from the Republican state convention. And people are reporting that he immediately went on blocking sprees for anybody that had anything negative to say about him. So if you haven't been following my coverage of Adam Schwarzy, it's pretty shocking what he's been up to. Schwarzy has been absolutely terrible, and oh boy, I'll tell you, we're not going to end. We've got an ad for the Schwarzy campaign dropping tonight at 6. I think it was 6:45 p.m. For channel members, you can watch that already. So we'd gladly encourage you to become channel members to see the stuff that I put up for channel members before everybody else gets to see it. But Schwarzy's bringing a lot of heat down on himself from laughing at the idea of innocent women and children having white phosphorus dropped on them in a rainstorm style while he was in a battle. Gavin giggled like a little schoolgirl. That video is up. You can see that. To being caught lying about numerous things, and so we're targeting Adam Schwarzy, if you will, for as much ridicule as possible. Schwarzy is a bad guy, so I've been working on that, and that's kept me away from some other things. But we're going to be getting back to the Jamie Lyle Lucas story as well pretty soon, and while we're working on the Jamie Lyle Lucas story, we're also working on other stories out of Cass County, and that's the one that I've had hanging out there that I keep teasing is coming. But as we continue to cover the Cass County Sheriff's Office and what can only be described as corruption, they're inept and they are corrupt, and we're just trying to figure out which one of those things came first. Were they corrupt first or were they inept first? And so I would encourage you guys to go watch the Jamie Lyle Lucas Perfect Victim, a series that we've started, and then watch my first couple of videos that I've done about Cass County. Maybe it's just one. I did one, I think. Yeah. But so next week, as my volunteer researcher Natalie has had some time to rest from her vacation, where she traveled is undisclosed. She's a protected asset, and we're going to protect that asset as long as we possibly can. But as she recuperates from her vacation, because you know how vacations are. You need recuperation from vacations. What we really want is Natalie's attention to be able to focus on digging into Cass County. And she's got some other personal things going on, and as soon as she can get through that, she has some time to rest, we're going to be doing some deep dives into some things. There has been some deep revelations coming out of Cass County about the sheriff's office, about the things that they're doing to people in their own office that they're trying to silence and shut down. And Cass County's got caught, by the way. Cass County Sheriff's Office got caught spying on me. Now, I'm an open book. I have nothing to hide. But I found they screwed up. They had somebody watching me, and he accidentally uncovered himself as a Cass County Sheriff's deputy. And as soon as I figured out what was going on, he immediately removed himself from my Facebook. So we're going to be talking about that individual as well. And next week's video is going to be really hard for everybody to watch. It does involve law enforcement use of force that does result in a deletion of an individual. And that's a poor young man named James Wayas. Now, I shouldn't say poor young man. James was not a good man. He was not a upstanding member of society, but he was a human being. And it's unfortunate anytime something like that happens. But we will be breaking down the use of force that took place there for James last week. And, well, not last week, last November. But next Sunday, we're going to be breaking down the use of force situation with him. And part of the reason why I've been teasing that out is, one, I'm waiting for Natalie to kind of get all of her, where she's comfortable that we have all the facts that we need to be able to start telling this story. Because once we start rolling the story on James Wayhouse and the situation that ended his life, that's going to open up more doors to talk about things with Jamie Lucas. The Jamie Lyle Lucas story is intrinsically linked to James Wayas, not just because they were Cass County, but because they are starting to show us developing patterns of inconsistency, malfeasance, cover-up, corruption, ineptness. We're not talking about just the sheriff's office. We're talking about, hey, Brandon, good to see you. Jugs is here. Everybody I'm sorry, I'm not seeing everybody right now. But as we dig, what we're finding is that there are patterns in Cass County, and I'll go into that more in my show opening next week. But Cass County has a very long track record. Let's just say a minimum that we can find, a minimum that we can find of 6 years of very poor treatment of citizens and very poor accountability. And that's why we've had the delay. So it's not been a fun case to work, to be honest with you. It's reminiscent to some degree of my story about Blake and the trooper that paralyzed Blake, made him a quadriplegic. There's nothing fun about these cases, but there are blessings in some of these cases. And so as I cover these cases, I had the blessing of meeting Blake's family, and I had the blessing of meeting Blake in person. And they have become more than just guests. They've become more than just story. They have become friends in that regard. And those of you that know me, and this won't come as a shock to any of my channel members or regular viewers, I have a very small circle of friends. I don't hang out with a lot of people. I don't spend a lot of time with people. I'm an introvert, says the guy who does a podcast, who goes out in public and does man on the street interviews. But I am an introvert. It takes a lot of energy for me to go out and interact with people, takes a lot of energy for me to do streams, and I have a limited amount of time. So when I tell people, yeah, I made friends with this family, that's huge. By the way, I'm like $10 away from my May cap, my May minimum, for because of you guys, for my channel members, people doing super chats, super thank yous and things like that. So thank you very much. Hopefully by the end of the day today, I'll have generated enough content that we'll have pushed it over my May payout cap. So thank you everybody for a great month. That's yes, I do talk a lot for an introvert. That's kind of a misconception about introverts, that we don't talk. I just talk a lot to the things that I care about. I have no time for small talk. I have no time to talk about things that are unimportant. So as I'm developing these stories, they're not fun for me. They're not easy, and the real working problem in them is they're heavy and they're burdensome. They weigh way heavily on my heart. And so when I see a corrupt state trooper get away with almost killing a young man and his younger brother, when I see a corrupt state trooper in that same instance ultimately injure a older man in his 70s so bad that he goes into intensive care and then into a long-term intensive care facility and end up passing away because of the results of that accident, but then the trooper skips out on accountability altogether, that pisses me off. When I see a trooper kill a young man or young lady 2 years ago, and yes, he ends up getting charged, but he still hasn't gone to trial. If that was us, we would have gone to trial a long time ago and had been thrown in prison by now. So these are the things that I focus on, and this is one of those things as well as I talk about the Adam Schwarzy case. Here we have a Navy SEAL who's made a lot of claims about how his career ended. When I met him, I was supporting him. I thought, man, I can support this guy. We seem to be kindred spirits. And, he ran into some trouble over COVID. We can talk about, some of he was a combat vet. I'm a veteran, but I'm not a combat veteran. But he ends up violating the Hatch Act, gets himself in trouble with the Navy, and then he paints it all out to be, it's all political. It's all political. And the fact that the SEAL teams, who are the final arbiters of taking away the Trident, that's not up to politicians, that's not up to the Department of the Navy, or even the Department of War, as we call it now. That's up to the SEAL teams and the SEAL team command. And they took his Trident from him over that. And yet he's still out here bragging about, oh, I was a SEAL. And don't get me wrong, qualifying to be a SEAL, getting through SEAL training is amazing. Anybody who can get through SEAL training is a particularly tough individual in the sense of the physical and even the psychological fortitude that it takes. But yet we turn around and we see a guy like Schwarzy lying repeatedly. The rest of us wouldn't get away with that, right? If we were painting lies about our career, painting lies about, how our career ended, somebody sooner or later would call us out for it. And that's why I'm calling out Adam Schwarzy. That's why I call out Trooper Shane Roper. That's why I call out Trooper Ryan Moser. That's why I call out the entire Cass County Sheriff's Office. Right? That's why I called out the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office when Sheriff Kevin Torgerson covered for Deputy Matt Adamson when he was busted trying to meet underage girls for sex in exchange for alcohol. Right? That's why I do those things. And they continue to get away with it. And so now a story just broke today that I'm going to be covering when Natalie has time to get onto the research for that. The poor lady, by the way, seriously, she's unpaid. Yet she keeps doing the work. And and she's phenomenal at what she does. But a story broke today about a deputy from a I can't remember right now off the top of my head what county he's from, but he's off duty and he goes to Meeker County, Minnesota, and he goes to a bar and he holds a knife. Are you ready for this? He holds a knife to someone's throat and then threatens to, right? This was at the beginning of April. The beginning of April. A deputy, off-duty deputy, goes to a bar, gets drunk, holds a knife, threatens to go to somebody at the beginning of April, and they just announced that he was being charged. And guess how he's being charged? Did they raid his house? Did they get a warrant for his arrest? Did they get a warrant for this deputy's arrest? No, they didn't get a warrant for his arrest. Not at all. They issued him a summons via mail. Let that sink in. They issued a deputy a summons via the mail to show up for court for his arraignment. Now, what would happen if that was you? And you put a knife to someone's throat in a bar and you went like that, that's what you were going to do to him, because that's the threat that he made. If you threatened that, there would be no summons. They would have arrested you that night. So here you have a guy, off duty, law enforcement officer in the state of Minnesota, post-licensed police officer standards and training. It's an official agency of the state of Minnesota. Hey, I don't disagree. This is definitely a directed energy weapon. It either keeps people away or attracts insects, one of the two. Those kind of things don't bother me, by the way. He's on the job still, as far as we can ascertain. Now, he maybe, now that they've announced charges are coming, maybe they have put him out on paid administrative leave. But we don't know. But the fact that he, over a month and a half ago, almost a full 2 months, he makes this threat and just continues to go back to work and the like. Just this last week, we had a off-duty police officer from the city of Chatfield, Minnesota, about 25 miles from me, was working as off-duty at the state fairgrounds for an event. And an hour after that event ended, he was caught driving drunk, in uniform, with his weapons, like 2 or 3 times the legal limit. Now, they arrested him, and to their credit, the Chatfield Police Department have already terminated him. He was part-time, but I just want you to think about that. Do people drive drunk? Yep, people make mistakes, right? People make mistakes. But of all people, cops should know better. Just had a Minnesota State Trooper, I think he ended up pleading guilty for S.A.ing a fellow trooper. And that was last year. Or no, it was even further back than that. And they finally just offered him a plea deal and he took it. Now, once again, is that accountability? To some degree, yeah, it is. But once again, if I S.A.'d a female coworker, I would not have been waiting that long for justice to be done. Oh, hey, thanks, Jugs. Thank you for rejoining. Jugs has been a long-time viewer, and he was one of my first channel members, and he's back again. So thank you very much for that, Jugs. And I agree, by the way. It's not a mistake. DWI is not a mistake. I totally agree. I'm one of those people that I call the cops for next to nothing. If I see somebody driving drunk and I can tell they're driving drunk, I'm calling the cops. I will stay behind them until cops can get there. So, 100% agree. We make poor judgment We make poor decisions. We have poor judgment sometimes, and the drunker we are, the worse our judgment is. But for him to be like twice the legal limit an hour after a shift ends, what's that tell us? And this is where I was going with this. Twice the legal limit before he had to have been drinking on duty, which puts me in mind of Deputy Chris Flatton, who I've been covering for, well, I haven't been covering solid for 2 years, right? Haven't been covering it solid for 2 years, but he was driving drunk on duty, and other deputies knew he was driving drunk. Deputy Dimmler testified or gave an official statement saying that she smelled the alcohol on his breath the night of his accident, but didn't want to say anything because she didn't know for sure. Once again, if Deputy Dimmler had pulled one of us over and she thought she smelled the smell of alcohol, what would she have done? What would she have done? She would have immediately gotten us out of the vehicle, rightly so, and performed, if you agreed, field sobriety test or preliminary breath test, which, by the way, you are not obligated to perform field sobriety tests or preliminary breath tests. If I were you, if you're accused of being drunk, shut your mouth. Don't agree to any tests. They're taking you in no matter what. Field sobriety tests are designed to make you fail. I'm pacing because I like to stand in my yard and walk back and forth. Yeah, there, look. You guys can see my beautiful yard. See my beautiful flower, my golden sumac, all my ferns. So yeah, anyway. So Deputy Dimmler lets him go. You wouldn't get that privilege. He could have killed somebody that night, and he almost killed himself. Somebody up above said, God bless our local, state, and federal law enforcement. Why should God bless them more than he blesses anybody else? Cops aren't special. They don't deserve special blessing from God. And if you quote, blessed are the peacemakers, I'll tell you to shut up, because blessed are the peacemakers has nothing to do with law enforcement. It has nothing to do with the military. So I'm going to head you off at the pass right there. What we're dealing with is, and somebody said earlier, they need to pay their own insurance. I 100% agree. I believe in ending qualified immunity, but not just for cops. Did you know that qualified immunity goes by different names, but everybody that works in the public sector has some form of qualified immunity? Everybody. Judges have judicial immunity. Prosecutors have prosecutorial immunity. Does it have anything to do with rioting? Well, first of all, they're not liberals, they're leftists. And keep in mind that the leftists and the rightists are all have violent histories here in the United States. So anyway, that's, neither here nor there. But we have a massive problem with law enforcement corruption in the United States. And it's at every level. It's at your local municipal level, it's at your county level, it's at your state level, it's at the federal level. Just remember, a few short years ago, conservatives hated the FBI. Hated the FBI. How many DWI convictions do you have? Because it's all circumstance to change. I don't understand the circumstance to change. I have none. So thank you. But anyway, we just have a massive, massive problem with law enforcement corruption in the United States. And nothing's going to change that until we, the people, end up not having to pay for it anymore. And so what I tell people all the time is, if your rights are violated by law enforcement, which happens every day, there was just a man that was arrested for protesting on a public street or on a public right-of-way where he's allowed to be in the town that he lives in because he was protesting against data centers. Now, we can have a conversation about data centers and whether or not the local government should be taking money from the data center companies signing non-disclosure agreements. I think that's absolute butkus. No public employee should be able to sign a non-disclosure agreement at all. Everything that they talk to data center people about should be fully disclosed to the public. That's their responsibility. They owe that to us. We are the masters. They are the servants. Cops are the servants. We are the masters. But this man was encouraging people to join him in a protest, and he had said in a Facebook post that the local representatives would regret allowing the data centers in because it wouldn't be good or safe for his children. And they tried to turn that into a threat of violence. And they arrested him on the scene. A woman was just arrested. Now they've now dismissed the charges. That is not a threat. Get over yourself. They arrested a woman in Texas for writing about the bad quality of the water in her town because she was getting reports from people that she reported to the public through her independent journalism, investigative journalism website, telling people are reporting having to go to the hospital. They're being hospitalized because of the bacteria in our water. And the chief of police arrested her for giving a false report that caused fear. Folks, that's an absolute violation of the First Amendment that chief of police was sworn to uphold. And that's the primary duty of law enforcement. The first thing that you swear to in law enforcement, every law enforcement officer across the United States takes a variation of the same oath. And that is to keep and defend the Constitution and the Republic. And part of keeping and defending the Constitution is upholding people's constitutionally enshrined natural rights. And that cop pissed all over the Constitution and arrested that woman because he didn't like the fact that she was exposing literally the dirt of the city. It was exactly that simple. It was literally that simple. The courts dismissed the charges, threw it out, said there's no chance we're going to let this go on. And the lawsuit against the police chief in the city has already moved forward. They're about to get their asses handed to them because what they did was patently and demonstrably a violation of this lady's constitutional rights. And so what people need to realize is that you think the cops are on your side. You think the cops are your buddies. You think the cops are, especially normie cons, people who think they're conservative because they hold all what they think are the right conservative views. Some of the most dangerous people in the world, by the way, because they will sell you out in a heartbeat. They will absolutely... Hey, Greg of Scotland, good to see you. But cops will sell you out in a heartbeat. But I was talking about Blake Mostert earlier, and this trooper that hit his vehicle and then him at 126 miles an hour in the dark, responding to a wrong-way driver. Okay, I just, think about this. His youngest brother wanted to be a cop. His family were the back the blue no matter what. Back the blue at all cost types. And then they found out just how hard it is to hold cops accountable. And they went from back the blue to back the blue until it happens to you. Oh, Georgie, stop it. The reality in these situations is cops don't serve we the people. Cops don't serve the Republic. Cops don't serve the Constitution. Cops serve their political overlords. Oh, Greg of Scotland, thank you for that. $4.99 in British pound sterling. Thank you very much. That'll probably push me over the edge and get me my May payout. That's awesome. Thank you very much. like, there we go. You have to open your eyes to this, right? And I will just continue to remind people that back the blue is not your responsibility. You already back the blue. Your taxes pay for them. Your taxes pay their settlements. Your tax, when a cop does violate, and once again, there are cops in every agency that are violating people's rights. There's cops in every agency that are violating people's rights by excessive use of force, wrongful arrests. It's constantly happening. Constantly happening. You just have to pay attention to it. And the reality in the end, when push comes to shove, is we don't owe cops anything extra. We don't owe them a higher level of respect. We don't owe them more money. By and large, law enforcement across the United States, like here in Minnesota, a single officer in the state of Minnesota, on average, earns more than a two-income household does. Oh, I'm not a cop hater. My brother's a cop. Love my brother. I spent almost 13 years in the law enforcement career field. I'm an accountability advocate. And I don't believe that law enforcement's going to get better until everybody becomes an accountability advocate. Absolutely, 100%. Everybody has to become an accountability advocate. We should all be demanding it. We should be demanding that cops are taught how to understand the Constitution and how it impacts their jobs and how it impacts how they treat us, we the people. But they're not. Outside of maybe a very short class in academy or in college, they get next to no training on the Constitution. They actually get more training on de-escalation, which is not enough, by the way. Cops do not get enough training on de-escalation to this day. But they need annual training. It should be a requirement in every single state. It should be codified. It should be in the... Oh, that's my poop. There's my poop. Say hello, poop. That's Calvin. Named after my favorite theologian. Cops should be required to take constitutional training, and every year, a minimum of 16 hours, 2 8-hour days, spread out across the 2 halves of the year. That's what they should get every year. But they fight that. They absolutely fight that. And as disenfranchised as I am with the current state of the political world, I'm still going to work to try and pen legislation and get it passed in Minnesota. And I do have a couple of Republicans that are willing to look at it. So, step in the right direction. But yeah, so we got a lot more stuff coming out over the next few weeks. We're going to be covering more about Adam Schwarzy, disgraced Navy SEAL. We're going to talk more about Cass County, Minnesota. We're going to be doing a accident reconstruction video of Trooper Ryan Moser's dash cam video. I'm going to show speeds and I'm going to show distance traveled during all of that. I'm working on an official music video for Blake's song that I put together. We're going to be covering the story about the deputy who threatened to somebody when he was off duty at a bar. So we'll be covering that as well, digging into that more. And if you're somebody that knows someone who has a story, yes, I know, more cooking with TC, I understand. But if you're somebody that knows someone who's had a run-in with law enforcement that the cops are out of line and completely unjustified in what they did, reach out to me, and you can reach me at mbrrpodcast@yahoo.com. Tell me this person's story or have that person reach out to me themselves, and we will talk. So just wanted to give you guys an update and let you know why I was teasing Cass County for the last month. I have to have all my ducks in a row on this Cass County Sheriff's Office story before I go full force with it. So it's starting to rain, and we need it. It's been a couple of weeks since we had a decent amount of rain. So I'm going to end this here. Thank you for all the super chats. Thank you for tuning in. And thanks for your patience on the Cass County stuff. And Even if you don't like my content, come back, stick around, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification. I guarantee you, at some point, not only will I piss you off, but I'll tell you a story about something that'll make you open your eyes, because that's what I do. So until next time, my friends, fight for your freedom, it is yours. Fight for your liberty, Craig, every time with a smile. Fight for your liberty, it belongs to you, and sic semper tyrannis.